Hey, what's happening, everybody? It's me, Crazyfrankie, and I'd like to welcome you to my Week 9 4 key game picks of the NFL 2020 season. Before we talk about Week number 9, I'm going to try to keep this short about Week number 8. And the only thing I would want to discuss from Week number 8 is obviously who's the best team right now in the NFL. As far as we know, there's only one undefeated team left, and that is the Pittsburgh Steelers. Big victory last week against the Ravens. And again, that went back and forth as I expected it. It was going to be a back and forth and fair. Pittsburgh managed to, and their defense managed to do a great job stopping Lamar Jackson in the last-minute drive to prevent the Ravens from scoring and possibly winning the game. So big win for the Steelers. Chiefs are still on a roll. Seahawks dismantling the 49ers. And I don't want to get into the Chargers, please. I got enough flack from people who know me on a personal level, and it kind of just frustrates me as a Chargers fan, and I don't like, and normally I do my best to show my unbiased opinions here, but, you know, when you think about the Falcons earlier in the year and how much choking they've done, you could say in simple words, as the Chargers would, as anybody would say to the Chargers, hold my beer, or, well, yeah, hold my beer on that one. I don't know what is up with the Chargers. They're wasting the great talents of Herbert right now, and he's pouring his heart out. He's only won one game, which obviously because the offensive line doesn't do enough to protect him. But I blame that all on the defense. The defense of the Chargers are the ones that messed up. They just couldn't stop the Broncos they couldn't stop them worth of crap. And I really try not to use curse words or anything. I do my best to keep it clean. But they couldn't stop Jack last week. And then obviously the penalty near the end of the game killed them, and it made the Broncos win that game on a last second touchdown. I blame a lot of that on the defense, and I will have to say right now, if I have to take a guess right now for Anthony Lynn, his job is on the line if they don't fix this fast, because we're now at the halfway point of the regular season, and there isn't much that the Chargers can do, despite the fact that there's an extra wild card added to this year's playoffs. So I don't know. It just seems like the Falcons may be off the hook now, and saying now it's the Chargers that are gagging. Those who know me on a personal level, I mean, you could pretty much throw that at me now. I really don't care. I know they're a mess. Anyways, I want to actually get into week number 9 in my picks, because I normally don't do anything new. I always keep my routine in terms of 4 key game picks, but I'm actually going to throw in a little bonus pick. Instead of 4 picks this week, it's going to be 5. And just for this week, I don't know, this could happen again next week depending on outcomes of games this week. And there was a possibility that because of some players that are that on the Packers, and I think one from the 49ers as well, quote me on that, I'm not sure about that. But I know some Packers players that are tested positive for COVID. And from what I know, as of the time of this video, Thursday night game is still on. They haven't had anything yet to say that this game will be postponed, unlike some games with the Steelers, the Titans, the Patriots, the Bills. This game is still on Thursday, and what's funny is that this Thursday night game is actually one of my key game picks I will talk about. The reason why I'm throwing 5 was just in case that if Green Bay and San Francisco does get canceled at the last minute, there's another pick I can throw in here to make it 4. If one of my key game picks, the game I want to talk about in just a minute, gets canceled, I will throw in a pick. I'll throw in another game that will add to 4. Anyways, let's get into the 4 key game picks. All right, let's begin with key game number 1. The Bears versus the Titans. Titans are a 6-point favorite in this one, and this is a game right now for the Titans. The Titans are trying to get back on track. A disappointing loss last week to the Bengals. And you got to wonder if the Titans are starting to falter. And they need this game because they're tied with the Indianapolis Colts for first place. And obviously first place is on the line this weekend for both the Titans and the Colts. Now the Bears last week, another dismal performance here. They lose to the Saints in overtime. They played the Saints pretty well, but their offense continues to struggle. Foles win 28 of 41, 272 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Tannehill for the Titans, 18 of 30, 233 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception. I look at it from a standpoint here. The Titans' offense is a tad better than the Bears' offense, but you would think that with the Bears' defense is starting to get back on track quite a bit, they're given so much pressure in order to keep the Bears in football games. Now, eventually, and that keep in mind, that Bears defense is getting worn out. Obviously, they're missing some key players defensive-wise. And really right now, when you have to go up against not only just Tannehill, but Henry, the running back, who's to say Henry will go beast mode in this game? And I think that -6 is actually right. It's spot on. Because the Bears have a quarterback issue. Do you go back to Trubisky if Nick Foles has another dismal performance? I don't know. The way it's looking in this game right now, especially the Bears need this game to keep pace with the Packers, I got to go with the Tennessee Titans here. I'm picking the Titans in this game. The Titans' offense is a tad better than the Bears. The Bears' defense is starting to get worn out. They're doing all they can to keep the Bears in games, but the Bears' offense and their quarterback situation isn't helping them one bit. And obviously, one of their players have got suspended for a sucker punch to a helmet to a Saints player. That only adds to the problems defensively for the Chicago Bears. So this is sort of an easy pick. I'm picking the Titans in this game. I think Henry's going to have another beast mode day against this Bears defense. Now that the Bears defense is getting worn out and they're getting thin. They're getting stretched thin. I expect Henry to have a big game in this one here. I think the running game is going to... I don't think the Bears offense is going to stop Henry in this game. I like the Titans in this one here, -6. Titans over the Bears. Key game number 2. It is the Thursday night game. It is the Packers versus the 49ers. And I was mentioning earlier that this game is still on because of the COVID situation and some players. There's no official word yet from the NFL. I would keep advised that you keep an eye for the next 2 days, whether or not this game will be played. But I'm still going to talk about it. Now, Packers Packers getting upset big time last week against the Vikings. Aaron Rodgers, 27 of 41, 291 yards, 3 touchdowns and no interceptions, despite the fact that he actually that his stats were pretty decent in that game. But really, the Vikings defense really got to him in that game, and you got to give the Vikings credit for that upset. The 49ers injury situation is getting worse. Garoppolo suffered a high the ankle's at it again. Latest report says he'll be out 4 to 6 weeks. And that is disaster time now for the 49ers. In a game that they absolutely have to try to stay into the playoff race. Not only that, I look at it this way, it's more or less for a playoff spot. I don't think they're gonna catch up to the NFC West. They're gonna catch up in the NFC West division. I think to me their chances of winning the division are done. And you look at Mullins, who had to take over for Garoppolo, 18 of 25, 230 yards, 2 touchdowns. He was lucky he didn't have no interceptions in that loss against the Seahawks. The injury situation, especially defensive-wise for the 49ers, for me, that's enough to say the Packers win this game. The Packers are a 2.5-point favorite, and that's right. Even though the Packers are also kind of stretched in, this game could be good, but I would like this game even better if Garoppolo was playing. Then probably they would have a chance to really make this a great football game. But the injury situation with the 49ers, that's enough for me to say Green Bay wins this game. This Thursday night game, it could be a blowout. It probably might be a close game Thursday night, but I think the Packers are going to beat the 49ers here. I think the injury situation for the 49ers is just too much. There's no way they're going to beat Aaron Rodgers in this game. I like the Packers in this one here, -2.5, and that's my pick in this one here. Packers over the 49ers. Key game number 3, the Seahawks versus the Bills. Obviously for first place implications, but I could see this being a good football game as well. Seahawks are also a 2.5-point favorite. Russell Wilson, 27 of 37, 261 yards, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions. Josh Allen, in a big win against the Patriots last week, 11 of 18, 154 yards, no touchdowns, and 1 interception. It's all going to boil down to time of possession and offense for both these two teams. Now, in terms of defense-wise, Buffalo's defense is a tad better. But you're going up against Russell Wilson in that offense here. And Russell Wilson knows how to move the football. He knows how to be mobile. He will definitely I expect them to have a good game here. I think this will probably be a low-scoring affair. With this game being in Buffalo, and obviously weather-wise, weather's not going to be much of a factor from what I'm hearing in Buffalo this coming weekend. But Seattle's offense, they're on a roll. Russell Wilson's on a mission. and obviously first to maintain their first place lead over the Rams and the Cardinals. I like the way the Seahawks have been playing. Now their defense is starting to become a question right now, but I look at it this way: you never count out Russell Wilson here, and that is why I'm picking the Seahawks in this game here. I think Russell Wilson in that offense will definitely have a good game. It'll be a close game. I think it'll be like a 17-14 type of game, maybe a 20-17 type of game. I think this game will be close. But I like the Seahawks in this one here. I never count out Russell Wilson, and I'm picking the Seahawks in this one here at -2.5. Seahawks over the Bills. Key game number 4, Saints versus the Buccaneers. Buccaneers are a 4.5-point favorite. That number probably will be a bit lower, maybe 4, maybe 3.5. Drew Brees in that overtime win over the Bears, 31 of 41, 280 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Tom Brady in kind of a dismal win against the Giants. I didn't even, obviously that controversial penalty at the 2-point conversion. I'm not even going to get into that. Tom Brady, 28 of 40, 279 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Surprisingly, they won despite them playing terribly. That kind of game that the Buccaneers had might give the Saints some sort of confidence here in sweeping them. Remember, the Saints won the first meeting between these two teams. First place is on the line here. If the Saints do beat the Buccaneers, they'll be tied for record-wise, but the Saints will have the advantage because they swept them. That is if the Saints win on Sunday. But this Buccaneer team is not the same team that it was in Week 1. This will be a much tougher game for the Saints. I think this will be a much closer game. It'll probably be maybe by 6 points, maybe. This game is going to be a good one. It'll probably be the game of the weekend. The Buccaneers defense is getting on a groove. They're coming together of age right now. The Saints right now, their offense struggled a lot against the Bears. Expect the Saints and Buccaneers to be in a good football game on Sunday. It's hard to pick a winner here. This game could go either way between both of these two teams. But I got to make a pick here. Who do I think wins this game? I think the Buccaneers will get the victory here. I think, to me, the Buccaneers defense is going to come up big in this game. They're going to come up more big than they were in week number 1. I think, to me, they're going to beat the Saints in this one here. It's going to be a close game. But I like Tampa Bay in this one here. You can't go wrong with either pick. But I'm picking the Buccaneers in this one here, -4.5. And that is my pick here. I think the Buccaneers will beat the Saints in this one here. And my bonus pick here is the Baltimore Ravens versus the Indianapolis Colts. I'm not going to give you any key stats. I just want to quickly give you my insight in the game here. Now, Lamar Jackson and that Ravens offense here, I think, to me, is a tad better than the Colts. Phillip Rivers can, even though he had a big blowout win last week, but when it comes down to facing good teams and all, Phillip Rivers always struggles when he faces off against good football teams. The Colts are going to be in a much tougher game this time around, and especially as I mentioned earlier, they're tied with the Titans right now for first place in the AFC South. The Ravens need this game as well to keep pace with the Steelers, and as well for a playoff positioning. I look at it from a standpoint here, if Lamar Jackson and that Ravens offense, if they get back on track, I think they will. I think it's going to be hard for the Indianapolis Colts defense to manage it. And for this one here, I'm going to pick the Ravens. The Ravens at -3. That is the odds. They have it right now at the moment. It's -3. I think, to me, the Ravens offense will get back on track here. I just really think it's going to be enough. It's going to be enough for them. They're going to have a hard time to stop. The Colts defense is going to have a hard time stopping the Ravens offense in this one here. And that's how I see it in this one going to play out here. I like the Ravens in this one here. Ravens over the Colts. All right, everybody, that wraps up my key game picks for week number 9. For all my week 9 picks, please check the description below, and I'll talk to you guys next week when I talk about my picks for week 10. And until then, take care and enjoy your football weekend.